This video is sponsored by True Gold Republic, the precious metals experts. Talk to one of their experts today about diversifying your portfolio to help assure your future financial security. Find their contact information in the description below and pinned in our first comment. James Kaufman, World News Report today, May 12th, 2024. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a 6.4 magnitude earthquake in Mexico. That would be right under a volcano and right on a plate tectonic boundary. I believe that is pushing energy up into the Baja and west coast of the U.S., and we've seen some additional earthquakes up there. This registered a 7 on the DYFI, a 6 on the shake map, again at 75.4 kilometers of depth. And I believe that we've had a 5.0 here. They're calling it a 4.6, but as you will see soon, most of the agencies are saying it was much stronger than that. So let's go see what's going on. A quick analysis before we cover those earthquakes. We had two fairly strong earthquakes, a 5.6 and a 4.5 and a 5.0 down here near New Zealand, but that's really nothing new to us around Indonesia, through the Philippines, Taiwan, and also off the coast of Japan. We've also seen a very large swarm right over the biggest volcanic caldera on Earth right here. And of course, we're seeing that swarm I've been talking about in the Aegean Sea near Greece. We've also had a lot of activity in Central America, which would include that 6.2, they're calling it out here as, and this is the larger 5.0, they're calling out here as, whereas the USGS, I believe, called it a 4.7. Let's get some additional information on just these two earthquakes over here, both in Mexico proper. Moving over to volcanodiscovery.com, we see a very strong 6.2 magnitude earthquake. The actual main source is going to be the Mexican government, as you will soon see, and I may have forgot to mention. Looking at some earthquake details, we see it being called a 6.2, although the USGS said 6.4, and its main primary source is going to be the Servicio Seismológico Nacional, or the Mexican government. 1.9 atomic bombs worth of energy released here. All right, comparing the opinions of all of the modeling agencies, we see the Mexican government, Servicio Seismológico Nacional, come in at a 6.2, default depth 10 kilometers. We see the Europeans come in at a 6.4, 75 kilometers, but they're saying it happened in Guatemala, and they're not the only ones. Let's continue. We see the Germans come in at a 6.3, and they're saying Mexico as well. We see the French come in at a 6.0, which tells me it was probably a very strong quake. At first, I didn't know what modeling agency this was because I've never seen it. It's the Nicaraguan government. They came in at a 6.7 at 35 kilometers of depth, and they say Mexico. Next, we see the Colombians come in, say it's in Guatemala, and that it was a 6.4. Now keep that in mind. The Italians come in at a 6.2 and at 87 kilometers of depth, Mexico. The Australians came in at 6.3, Mexico, 91 kilometers of depth. The International Research Institute on Seismology always follows the USGS, but they have a default depth here down in a 6.4. Then we see the USGS come in at a 6.4, 75 kilometers of depth, followed by the Colombians come in a second time, and actually saying that, well, it looks like they think it might have happened in Costa Rica, and they call it a 5.8 there. So I don't know if this is, and at 229 kilometers. Now they already made a call up here that looked to be about right. I don't know if this is a data error by volcanodiscovery.com or what's going on here, but it just doesn't look like the same quake to me. And why would they call it out twice? All right, next we'll go over our strong magnitude 5.0 earthquake. I believe the USGS said it was a 4.7. And again, that happened today in Mexico. Now, this was in Baja, Mexico, where we have several volcanoes that appear they could be awakening. In the Sea of Cortez, we have several volcanoes that are also islands that have been active within the past 10,000 years. Taking a look at some detailed information, we see it came in at a 5.0 here. And the main reporting service is going to be the Mexican government again. And they said about 477 tons of TNT were released. This is getting very close to the U.S. border, and we see a small swarm north of that in the U.S. Quickly comparing all the modeling agencies' opinions, first off, the Mexican government, the Servicio Seismológico Nacional, came in at a 5.0, 8.4 kilometers of depth. Very shallow. Next, we have the Europeans coming in at a 4.9 default depth. International Research Institute on Seismology came in at a 4.9 default depth. We have the Germans coming in at a 5.0, also at a default depth. And finally, we have the USGS here coming in at a 4.9, which tells me they've downgraded to a 4.7 most recently. This is probably the original data. This is volcanodiscovery.com, and they have it very shallow at 8.5 kilometers, which probably means there's magma moving just below one of these volcanoes. So in summary, I believe all the solar weather has charged the plates, and this is the first of many large earthquakes that we'll see over the next several days or weeks, depending on how the solar storm plays out. And I believe, again, they're going to increase in intensity and increase in numbers. Please share, please subscribe. Always remember, anything's possible in Bizarro World. God bless you guys, and happy Mother's Day.